Hey everybody, I'm back to talk about the latest episode of The Expanse titled Oyedeng, which is, according to my research, uh, basically saying goodbye in Belter Creole. And I was interested because I saw the name of the episode when I started it, and I thought, I don't know what that means. I knew it was something Belter, but I'm like, I don't know specifically what it means. I could look it up, but I'm gonna watch the episode and see if they directly say it or if I can figure it out. And I wasn't able to figure it out, but once you get to the end of the episode, it's pretty clear why it was named that. My thoughts of the episode, again, it's another solid episode, but I find it very interesting how much they've slowed down the show. After episode 4, 5, 6, and 7 have all been a very, I'm not going to call it a slow pace, but a very deliberate pace, which I've mentioned on previous videos. And I've said like they need to get the crew together by episode 8, which does not look like it's going to happen. And I'm curious to see how the fandom is going to respond to a season that is unlike any of the other seasons. And in my opinion, it's in a good way, but I could see a lot of fans of the show not being as big of a fan of the direction the show's taken this year. The show started out as a fairly straightforward as best you can make it when you're talking about like proto-molecule and shit like that. But like, it's what, okay, we have Holden and his crew. They're starting out shipping ice, and then we see how they evolve into the how they acquire the Rocinante, how they evolve into a crew, and eventually how they end up chasing the proto-molecule. And then we see how that affects Miller. We see Miller's quest to find Julie Mao and how that eventually makes it so that he crosses paths with Holden's crew. And each episode was kind of the same dynamic. It's like, okay, here's an update on what Miller's doing. Here's what Holden and his crew are doing. And we're going to give you proper drama. We're going to give you proper excitement. And it's going to be, I don't want to say formulaic because that sounds like an insult. I don't mean it to be, but I just mean it in the sense of like, the show had a very clear structure, I think, up until this season. And this season, you've got virtually or all of the season, the crew has not been together at all. We've had now 3 very deliberately paced episodes to kind of let the show breathe. And I've heard comparisons between this show and Game of Thrones, and a lot of them I agree with. But I think it's no more evident in the way they have now structured the season. This feels like a Game of Thrones season in the sense of like we had a pretty big event in episode 4. We've slowed down since and have allowed everything to kind of breathe. We're really working on character backstory, really working on character development, really working on relationship development. And that really only has one goal, which is to fuck us up at the end. I feel almost certain that something really bad is gonna happen before this season is over. And the purpose behind building up these emotional connections between characters is to ultimately allow the viewer to also build up these emotions toward these characters so they can ultimately crush them and give you the strongest impact that you can have from the show. And they did a lot of what I thought was foreshadowing of Naomi's death in this episode. So give you guys an idea. I don't do it all the time, but I do this for The Expanse. I kind of take notes as I'm watching, and not anything intensive that's going to make me, be looking away for too long. But, after a scene ends, I might write 1 or 2 sentences wrapping up what happened in that scene. The third bullet point that I have in my notes out of probably about 15 was Naomi finna die? That's how I write how I talk and think. I really put finna in my notes. Naomi finna die? Question mark. Because at that point, I think we had at least 2 scenes of heavy emotional dialogue between Naomi and someone else. So she had a heavy conversation with Marco. She had a heavy conversation with Philip. She had a heavy conversation with Sin. Then she had another really fucked up conversation with Marco at the end. And to me, it almost felt like Naomi's farewells. Like, okay, I'm going to make things right with Philip, and we're going to have this nice moment. He's going to lay his head on my shoulder. We're going to cry together. We're going to have this mother-son bonding moment. And all that build up to all this positivity to ultimately bring it crashing down with her death. So I think that was the moment. Actually, no, it was before that I was like, okay, I feel like we're building up Naomi having all of these emotional conversations to ultimately kill her off at the end of the episode. And as the episode continued, I became more and more firm in that assertion. I think at some point in my notes, I think I put, she definitely finna die. I'm trying to see if I put something like that. No, I didn't put that. I put that they are definitely setting up Bull to be the new pilot of the Rocinante, which I firmly stand by. It's pretty clear that they're building like a nice relationship between him and Holden. They allowed Bull to kind of like strut his stuff in that space fight with the Zemaya. So Bull did a great job. So I can see that once they inevitably kill off Alex or write him off the show. I don't know. Once they do that, I think Bull stepping into that spot is going to be pretty good. And they're doing a good job of building that up in a short period of time. Speaking of building up things in a short period of time, they've really done a great job with Sin. Like, this is a guy that we didn't even see until either the beginning of this season or the end of the previous one. And the scene between him and Naomi is probably the best one of all of the emotionally draining conversations that Naomi has throughout this episode. The one with Sin is the best one. And they've done such a great job of making Sin a character that you can feel for. They clearly show his dedication to Naomi, to Philip, even to Marco. He just looks like one of those like lovable, cuddly kind of guys, like somebody that you're inevitably going to like anyway. And his feelings, his remorse over his betrayal of someone he cares about so much, it came through. It hit hard. It was a great scene. And to build up that kind of emotional impact when we hadn't even seen this character up until maybe 6-7 episodes ago is quite a feat. So I thought that was really good. Going back a little bit, talking about Bull and leading becoming the new pilot of the Rossi. Again, and I think this is just my paranoia at this point, because I've seen no one else say this, but I still feel like they're fucking with us about killing Alex. So, we see Alex and Bobby a little bit in this episode, and Bobby pulls a bullet out of her suit, and it's a smashed bullet because she has a bomb ass suit. It doesn't do anything, and Alex is like, "Yo, you got shot?" She's like, "Yeah, it happens all the time. I have a fucking bomb ass suit," and she tosses the bullet. Immediate in my notes, I'm going to read exactly what I wrote. Bobby just tossing this bullet is going to come back. So, and it didn't in the episode, but I don't think tossing a bullet into the air in a spaceship in a place that can have various things happen regarding gravity or loss of air or air pressure, things like that. I don't see that ending well. Like, I feel fairly confident that bullet that was tossed astray is gonna kill Alex, maybe. But at that moment, I thought that's how they're gonna kill Alex. This is it right here. Just like I thought last week or the week before when they had him jumping from one ship to the other, and he's like lost in space, and I'm like, oh shit, this is how they're gonna do it. And then he made it. And then when she tossed that bullet, I thought, oh shit, this is how they're gonna do it. And they didn't. And at that point in the episode, I thought, are they going to kill Alex and Naomi in this episode? Like, that'd be some next level shit. Both of them lived, but, well, presumably, both of them lived. But I'm still kind of hanging on to that. I still think that bullet's going to come up later. And I don't know now. I'm a little unsure on this whole idea of Naomi dying. Just my experience watching television and film, having all these heavily weighted conversations that are deep and emotional. Those are always times where they're building up a character so they could tear them down. And not tear them down, but tear us down as the viewers. And I don't know if I misinterpreted that as they are going to kill Naomi, and if the actual plan was what happened, which was just Naomi's going to have this really fucked up moment. And I thought that Dominique Tipper again showed her acting chops big time in this episode. They did a great job of tying in the earlier moment where Sin saying, "Hey, I saw you before when you entered that airlock. And then I saw you again. I was going to talk to you about it, and you were gone, and we never saw you again." Like, so him bringing up that story of him seeing her in the airlock, they did a good job of tying that around to where as soon as Naomi entered the airlock, I was like, I was right. She's dead. She's killing herself. Like, I thought I was right. I wasn't happy about it, but I thought I was right. She opens the airlock and she floats out. I'm presuming two things. One, that the syringe that she injected something that will keep her from suffocating out in space, but it made her eyes red and it made her face swell. And then it was a weird color. So I'm not sure what that is, but that's my guess. And then I'm also guessing that the ship that she ultimately ended up on was her own ship that is being sent to lure in Holden and the Rocinante. I don't know that for sure. That's what I'm assuming. That's her way of getting back to him to warn him what's going to happen. And she had to kind of like not tie up those loose ends, but like the showrunners had to tie up, though the director had to tie up those loose ends before she dipped. Because if she just dips, it's not gonna have the same weight that it had when she's had all these kind of conversations that have a farewell vibe to them with Marco and Philip and Sin. So I thought that all of this stuff was really good, really emotional, heavy duty shit. I really enjoyed it. I do think though, like it's gotta pick up. Like now we only got 3 episodes left. We haven't had the crew together. Action's been minimal in quite some time. We didn't even see Amos in this episode. Like, I don't know about you guys, but Amos-free episode is is not something that I signed up for. Like, I'll watch it. I like it, but an Amos-free episode is not a good look. Didn't get Amos at all. And I think it's time that now they've somehow managed to find a way to not drag out 3 episodes, because again, I don't want to sound like an insult, but like they managed to find a way to not show us the repercussions of Marco's actions. So Marco's actions took place in episode 4. The way this show has been structured up to this point, we would have seen not necessarily a resolution, but at least a response to that in the very next episode. And now they found a way to kind of drag that out to where it's like, okay, we can use an episode to show Amos building a relationship with Clarissa. We can use an episode to show Naomi essentially trying to mend and ultimately end up permanently breaking her relationship with Philip and Marco and Sin. We can use an episode to show what was the episode 5? I can't recall what they kind of dwelled on in that one, but I just remember there was the episode where it was like most of the time was spent with Amos trying to get out of that prison, and now this one was essentially all Naomi. With, a scene or 2 for Alex and Bobby, a scene or 2 for Holden, and that's it. I think we saw Avasarala briefly, but I can't even really recall. Let me look at my notes and see if I have anything in here about it, but I don't really recall seeing Avasarala. Well, I do recall seeing her, but I don't know. I don't know if we learned anything impactful or relevant from that. But I think it's time right now that they gotta tighten this up and give us a pretty, I don't want to necessarily action-packed, but a rapidly paced final. I think I gotta say 2 episodes, because I don't see any way we can have an action-packed 3 episodes, because now we have to, Amos is in the middle of nowhere in a cabin trying to get to Baltimore. He's nowhere near getting back on the Rossi. Holden and Bull I don't even know what they're going to do. They were chasing the Zemaya. It blew up. Where the fuck's the proto-molecule? Or anybody who was on that ship? Are they dead? Did they escape beforehand and they missed it? Who knows? We got to figure that out. Alex and Bobby are trailing Marco. And then we have Naomi on presumably her ship on a collision course with both Marco and Holden. So I don't really see a way that the entire crew is back together in the next episode. So they kind of that might not happen till the 9th episode. So I'm curious to see how people are going to assess this season with a show that has generally been, I'd say, paced pretty rapidly up to this point. taking such a steep pause for about 4, if next week is similar to the previous 3, for 4 weeks, kind of giving time to kind of like breathe and build up characters. Like, I appreciate that shit, but like, you know, if you're accustomed to like fast-paced sci-fi with all kinds of action and all kinds of fancy science jargon and shit like that, space shit, and that's all you're here for, yeah, you might be disappointed. So I'm kind of curious to see how people are taking this season, but I really appreciate the character beats. I really appreciate the character background stories, because that's what I was clamoring for that while I was watching season 1 and 2. Like, man, I wish I knew more about these people. How are we? And now I'm in season 4. I don't know anything about these people, and now you just brought in a whole bunch of other new people I don't know shit about. So like, I like getting that background information. We're still getting some cool action stuff. We're still moving the plot along. I'm really excited to see what happens with Drummer having Marco's I don't know, EXO, is that his EXO, on her ship. We didn't see Drummer at all this episode either. And that was one of the most intriguing aspects of this to me, was going to be how is that dynamic going to work with Drummer? Like, what's going to happen? What is she going to do? And all of these individuals are heading to the same point, not a literal point, but a point in the story where it's like, okay, we have Bobby and Alex. They are going after Marco. Essentially, Holden and Bull are going after Marco, but they don't really know where to go just yet. Well, they do, because Alex sent them the ship. What do you call it? Ship something, diagnostics, dynamics. I don't know. And then we have Naomi essentially intersecting the two of them. We have Drummer after Marco. Like, so everything's gravitating toward Marco, but everything's been gravitating toward Marco for a while. So I'm curious to how much more time they're going to spend getting us there. I based upon the characters' trajectories, no pun intended, based on those trajectories, I would imagine next week we will have another episode that does not have them together. Will it be a slow, maybe dialogue-driven or conversation-driven or character-driven episode? Maybe, maybe not. But I don't think we're going to reach that culmination next week. Not the culmination, but I don't think we're going to get started on that culmination next week. I think that's probably going to happen in episode 9. And I think there's a lot relying on how they pay this off. If it kind of fizzles to an end, these episodes that are good in this moment, but we're kind of saying like, okay, let's see how this plays out, it's gonna hurt those episodes in retrospect. So what I want to see is us really get a exciting resolution to this, because they're building this shit up. I mean, like, they are really building this shit up. Marco fucked everything up in episode 4. Next week is episode 8, and Marco is still completely and entirely free of consequences from this from this action. So like, that's, like I said, they changed the way this show flows. Like, there's no way we would have had to wait 5 episodes to see some sort of repercussions for Marco in previous seasons. So the fact that they've drawn this out a little bit makes me wonder what they have planned for the final 2 episodes. And I think it's probably going to be something that's going to knock our fucking socks off. I'm still not letting go of the idea that they might kill off Naomi, but now I feel like they just built that up to make her escape have more impact. But man, they had me, I was confident. I'm like, they're killing her. Oh, she dead. Oh, she dead. Speaking of which, to me, it looked like Sin died. How did Sin die instantly? But Naomi had significantly more time before she put that injection into her thigh. I don't see how one should be alive and one shouldn't. So curious about that. Sin has nothing to inject, but then why wouldn't he just close the door? Or does sucking in space air make you essentially paralyze you? And if it paralyzes you, then how was she able to inject it into her thigh? So like, I don't know, I have questions about that, but otherwise, another solid episode. I'm really enjoying what they're doing, building out these character beats and building out these relationships. And the steady rise in tension, because you know something fucked up's coming, and I'm really excited to see it. So I'll see you guys next week, right on Wednesday, because you know I'm not wasting any time watching new episodes. Peace.